A big hello. Russian are again with you. And he apologizes again for his English. Checkmate is traditionally in 3 moves. White has to move. Pause the video and think for yourself. And you are used to rest with me, haha. You thought, you decided, you're doing fine, let's figure it out. The pawn cannot walk. Now fine. There are only 3 pieces left. The pawn is under attack, which means it needs to be protected, or check, or rest. Just rest. This is the correct translation. I can give the check with the queen on the g4 square, but the king goes to b8. And then to a7. This is not a mat. If I take the c7 pawn with a check with the rook, the king takes the rook and says thanks for the gift, so it doesn't work too. If I move the king to f7 with the idea of putting a check with the rook on g8, then the king moves to b8, and then to a7, and again this is not a checkmate. So you cannot move with a pawn, you cannot move with a king, you cannot move with a rook. But we have a bored queen. It makes no sense to move to g4. As we have already found out, if the queen goes to c5 with the idea to calmly checkmate on f8, then the call goes to b8 and again the king leaves the mate. If the queen moves to f1, f2 or b1 with the idea of putting a quick checkmate, then the rook takes the pawn on c6 and ruins all our plans. Queen has to go to a7. Brilliant move, move, move. If the rook takes the queen, then the king is f7 followed by mate with the rook on g8. If the rook takes the c6 pawn, then the a8 queen is checkmate. If the rook moves somewhere along the line a, then the queen takes the c7 pawn with checkmate. If the rook does nothing and moves the king to d8, then the queen on b8 is mate. There are no other options, so we have solved the problem. I'm Attaboy. See you soon. Sweet.
Subscribe and click on the bell.